Are you co-parenting with a narcissist? Are you in a custody battle with a narcissistic ex? Welcome to my work. I'm author, coach, mom, SurThriver, Grace Rolson. This is one of my best strategies to label what he's doing. So if it's false allegations, if it's circular conversations, whatever he's doing, and I have a comprehensive list of what I call co-parenting abuse, which is post-separation abuse and sometimes abuse by proxy. So just so you know, my background is loving and leaving an alcoholic to then fight in family court, finding out my ex was a narcissist. And I won some in family court, lost some in family court, and went on to use skillful means to negotiate with a narcissist to get all my rights restored and the majority of the parenting time. So I don't recommend losing, which is why I always say get a lawyer. I teach how to not be the target of blame. I have a 20 plus wants list so that you can build leverage. I have a documentation strategy so you're not overwhelmed with documentation of all the things he's doing and not doing. Welcome to my work. It's very comprehensive. I have 3 books for women who love an alcoholic and are trying to break the trauma bond, codependency, and love addiction, and 5 books for mothers, or 7 books for mothers. I'm here to educate, empower the protective, loving mom. Learn all you can. Knowledge is power. I say start reading my mom's books 1 through 7. You'll see all 6 of them, from co-parenting with a narcissist all the way to wisdom for ending the co-parenting war and the custody battle, using the skillful means and the strategies. There's Tame the Narcissist in the middle, but really, I say you have to go through them all. So I do in my new book have 20 skills for dealing with a narcissistic ex. Also now on Amazon and Audible. If you don't have time to read, you can listen and commit to listening to one of these a month, because you're going to get higher level strategies that lead to peace and protection, which, we thrive with peace and protection, and narcissists really do thrive in war. Just so you know, this isn't direct advice. What worked for me may not work for you. I'm not a lawyer, not a therapist. So, always default to what your lawyer says. And if you don't like what your lawyer says, get a second opinion. Maybe you need to switch lawyers, which I do have a guide. This is my shared survivor wisdom. So take what's helpful, leave the rest. So labeling, people don't like to label the narcissist. The courts don't like you to do it and all that. I get it. But identifying who and what we're dealing with and then what is happening to us cuts the confusion down. When we're confused and we're not clear, we lose power. The number one way a narcissist typically wins in family court over a protective, loving mom is emotional destabilization. They emotionally destabilize the mother, who's already in pain and grief and fear for her children, and grief over the failure of the disappointment of the narcissist, his cheating, his games, his lies, his drug or alcohol addiction. Us moms are already heartbroken. And then we have children we're worried about. So that's fear, anxiety, and worry. And so we lose power. And then he does or doesn't do something important that matters to our children, or threatens to take away the child, or doesn't pay child support. And next thing you know, we're emotional and we lose power to emotions. So do you know what he is doing to you if you are the target of blame and you pushed the narcissist, or you confronted, or something triggered the narcissist, which I teach about in my 5th book, Tame the Narcissist. When we do that, if we do that by mistake or ignorance or not knowing, they tend to attack. And they have a lot of games and manipulations, from character assassinations to poisoning the well tactics to false allegations. And so the more we tend to push them, like if we want child support for the child and we push their money button, they tend to push our custody button, taking the children to have the power to hold the kids hostage, to not pay child support, whatever. They have a lot of what I say tricks, tactics, traps, and manipulations. And if we learn what they are and we can name it, then we can just document strategically. We could just say, oh, another false allegation or false accusation. And I put it in a list. I did like the top 5. And I said, well, you accused me of this on this day. You accused me of that day. And what that does is it exposes the pattern of behavior of false allegations flying at us when we're just trying to be civil, kind, and think about the child's best interests. If you're still battling the narcissist and you're still defending and all of his attacks, and you're giving him your energy through your pain and fear and defense without, I learned to just do a one word, that's not true, or, that's not true, and then move on and keep everything to 2 to 3 sentences in my replies, because everything escalated. And that's what they count on is emotionally stirring up someone with a lie. So, they lie a lot. They live a lie. They think in lies. To them, that's what they know. And the truth very much threatens them. And exposure threatens them. And someone documenting them strategically threatens them. And I teach about being a non-threat threat to narcissistic supply, but not the narcissist. And I don't teach go toe-to-toe with the narcissist. I teach a way towards peace and an end of the war and the battle, which is using skillful means and understanding we're dealing with a personality disordered person. There's going to be disorder. We can't get perfection in this situation. If we poke someone, they're likely to attack back. So narcissists, you got to know them. They're typically vengeful, pride-filled, egotistical. You got to know who and what you're dealing with and accept that fully so that you act accordingly. If we try to treat the narcissist like a normal cooperative co-parent, we do have to do that to some level in our case to look good for the judge. But if we try to treat someone other than they are, we will be disappointed. So a resentment can be premeditated in a way. Our expectations can be premeditated resentments. So we expect the narcissist to do the right thing by the child or pay the child support, and now we're resentful he doesn't. So there comes the emotional destabilization. Now we hate our ex. So we hate what he's doing. We hate so much about him. And, hate is a strong word. It's powerful. And I do think it's okay to hate evil. However, the hate can really drive a wedge and draw that hard line that lawyers tend to draw. And we tend to be in this together with them. Even if we don't want to be, we're in this co-parenting situation with them. And hate can really be fuel if the narcissist starts to hate our confrontations, hate that we're filing and winning against them in court because they hate to lose and love to win. That's why I say watch out for the win word, watch out for the hate word. Those are two things that can get you in trouble with a narcissist. If you're winning against the narcissist, it may not be the end of the story. They may come back with these false allegations and all these tactics. But if you are not a threat, and why do they need to keep doing all that they do? If you're not being the TOB, and you can learn about that in my books and videos, the target of blame, do they really need to constantly come at you with all of these tricks? Moms tend to step in them. I did. Now I see them coming. The blame game is one of them. Mother blaming is a big thing. And at one point in my custody case, I said, if we're going to blame me for everything, let's blame me for how well the child's doing. So every lawyer can twist anything. My lawyer was able to twist back. But I didn't do all this alone. I followed the experts. I read all the books. I learned from the experts. I had private coaching. I did recovery programs to know, okay, this is what he's doing. The Darvo tactics, that was enlightening, the wheel of post-separation abuse to just see what's next on the narcissist's pattern of behavior. Well, all of it stopped. I threw a big wrench in the wheel of what he was going to do next, which was turn the child against me, weaponize the child after taking the child hostage. That stopped. All of it stopped. We have peace, cooperation. He never negotiated. I did a 12-year custody battle with 3 lawyers. Him too. It was the 20 plus wants list that I used, which I teach about, I built leverage, documented strategically. I stopped being the target of blame. I mean, there were many phases and levels, and I stopped playing the game. So this is also called name the game. Like, what is their game? Everybody wants energy. Children need our energy. Narcissists consume it like energy vampires. If you see how you're getting your energy siphoned, you could stop and take your power back, because the awareness is your first step. Awareness of what's happening, acceptance that they're going to badmouth you. Mine was poisoning the well and accusing me, planting seeds, dark seeds in the doctor pediatrician's mind, accusing me of the worst things like Munchausen's to my our child's pediatrician. And so that was getting in her doctor chart, her health chart, stuff about me. And that's how he found the door in to eventually win sole custody for a period of time. But all of that stopped. Now I get cooperation. Now he doesn't even care if I take her to the doctors. He has me do it after stealing it all and being so worried about the child. Now I just take her because he doesn't want to take her. Back to the way it began, which is he didn't want all this responsibility. He didn't want to pay child support. And I actually gave him the option. Do you want to pay all her activities, half her activities, or the child support? And he decided, and we finally negotiated, because I learned all these things and created my own. He decided to give me everything I wanted in the last negotiation. I know it's unheard of. He called it a miracle, but what it was he no longer viewed me as the enemy to destroy. And we have to start thinking they're not the enemy to destroy, even though we want to keep our kids safe, get our kids to higher ground in a way. We have to see this as a personality disordered person. We have to talk at their level of understanding and what they care about, not what they should care about, not what we care about. That all takes time, and I teach about that now and help moms through that. So one of the things we do as my 3D approach, which is, discuss it. You got to vent the emotions that come up, or the energy that's triggered, and document, and then detach. So a lot of moms don't have the ignore button for the small things, and the small things drain their energy. So I have a 3D approach. It's another strategy to install this ignore button. And once you document strategically what it was that he did or didn't do that was in violation, that can be helpful. Documenting the narcissist strategically can help reduce the overwhelm. And I teach strategy. A lot of times, in order to preserve our power, we must hold back. The boundaries have to be with ourselves. And I call them self-rules in the first book. And trying to set boundaries with a boundary crossing narcissist can be a crazy making experience. Let's just say that. So if you want more, you can come to my free blog, get all 7 of my books. It's important. You can go find this video, Know the Narcissist, on my YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe. I have a basic strategies. You're going to need a lot of strategies in place. Strategies reduce the stress. Podcasts on Spotify. I'm going to keep posting these to YouTube and on Spotify so that you can listen in and think about it. I know people don't want to label the narcissist, and that might be right, but we can label what they're doing. If it's making us late to work, if it's weaponizing the children, if it's gaslighting, big one, gaslighting, coercive control, all of that can throw somebody into cognitive dissonance. And you may have to look these things up, like DARVO, DARVO. So things can be twisted. You can end up being accused of what they're doing, and that's called narcissistic projection. And I really want moms to learn, heal, and grow, outgrow the narcissist, keep being a great mom, stay in our child's life for their childhood. At one point, my child thanked me for a happy childhood, and I worked so hard on myself with all the self-work and getting the support and the help, because, getting support is a sign of strength. And knowledge really is power. I read everything I could to understand the power dynamics and why I was being attacked with this co-parenting abuse that I call it. Find my free Substack newsletter. It's Navigate Around the Narcissism. We can't always go around the narcissist because the court order says, but we can learn to navigate around the narcissism because that's what he has and that's what we're dealing with. That helps us stay in reality. My skillful means it takes a little while to get. It can take a little while, but it's the way towards lasting peace, and it gets us out of a war, an ego battle with a narcissist. And I say avoid being the narcissist's opponent. So if any of this resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you on Facebook. What was most powerful? Because I do have other guides that I can send you in a private message. And I have reasons to get a lawyer to stop being the narcissist target of blame. And welcome to my work. I'm glad you found me. Keep learning, healing, and growing, and keep being a great mom. See you in the next video.